Hey everyone, this is Luke again, and welcome back to episode 2 of How Would I Improve Ninjago miniseries. Someone in the comments did suggest when I was going to upload the second episode, and here you go. Here's episode number 2. Last time I went through basically what I call the golden age of Ninjago, from the pilots to season 5. I basically compared it to 90s Disney movies where they were producing hit after hit after hit, and where Ninjago kind of felt unstoppable. But then here came season 6. I wouldn't say season 6 ruined everything, but it made us question whether Ninjago was the good show that we all knew and loved. So this entire episode could be dedicated to Skybound. And if I have enough time, I could dedicate some of it to Day of the Departed, because Day of the Departed would be after this. So first off, Skybound. I think this season needs a lot of improvement because the potential of it was definitely there. However, due to a series of poor writing choices, I believe that the Hagemans could have had something, but it just didn't happen. The first thing I would improve is just rewrite the entire fucking first episode. Because that first episode on a whole is just is the perfect personification of how not to write a Ninjago episode. I even put it at number 1 on my top 20 worst episodes list. Because I meant it. I meant every word I said. Well, maybe with the social commentary line being a little too far. But I basically said what I said. This episode is just straight up offensive because of the Dareth sexist remarks. Honestly, I felt like they were trying to build some sort of an arc for Nia, which was, her identity and how she's always been defined by someone else. Understandable. But is this the way to start it? No. I feel like the whole identity thing didn't really need to start at that specific episode. Maybe a couple episodes down the line, you could have started it, but I feel like this episode just wasn't the time. Especially with the way they introduced it. They introduced it in pretty much the worst way possible, by making abhorrently sexist remarks towards her, which, if you said that shit in public, what Dareth said, you would get your ass beaten. Just saying. And also the writing. The Hagemans, I respect as writers, but what were they thinking with this episode? What were they thinking? The writing in this episode is absolutely horrendous. None of it makes any sort of flippin' sense. And the only good thing to come out of it was that one scene with Nadakon and Klaus, which doesn't set up Nadakon pretty good, but that's the only thing good about this episode. Everything else is absolute shit. And this was the start of the infamous, no pun intended, I unintentionally made a pun right there, prison arc, which only lasted 3 episodes, but never really went anywhere. Basically, the ninja are framed for being criminals, and that's it. They are just framed for being criminals. And I know the show tried to make it appear like they did, but the reason for why the people of Styx hate the ninja, other than, that footage, is atrocious. They hate them because they destroyed our property. Like, you care more about your own property than your own life. What type of ass backwards logic is that? What logic is that? Tell me. What logic is that? So, anyways, how would I improve just this one episode? Well, this would be hard. Basically, I would remove any of the sexist stuff, because, honestly, that alone could have gotten the episode banned. I wouldn't have made Nia a whiny bitch. I would have just made her, I would have actually removed that whole whole identity thing. I wouldn't have done it at that specific episode, as I said before. And I wouldn't have put it until around the middle of the season. I feel like the middle of the season would have been the perfect place to do that. So as for Nauticon and Klaus, I wouldn't change anything. But as for the prison arc, I would say just have the Sticks innocent celebrate the ninja for saving them from the preeminent. Then the thing shows up, and then they turn on the ninja. That makes sense. Or at least they become very, very skeptical. They don't have to necessarily just turn on them like that, because in a sense, that is kind of unrealistic. But then again, this is Ninjago we're talking about. Realism does not fucking exist in this show. So either one of those two options would work. And I wouldn't really change the ending. The ending of the episode's actually pretty good. But yeah. Now we move on to the next few parts of it. A big issue some people who are critical, like myself, of Skybound is that why Ronin out of anyone who captured them? Because Ronin has been kind of like a weird character. He kind of flips sides for the sake of money, which that's what a bounty hunter does. But the problem with this is that if he was established this way when he first debuted, I don't think anyone really would have had a problem with it. But when he established that he actually does have a heart and he actually has friends who care about him, it kind of is a spit in the face of that development. So I wouldn't have had Ronin in this position. I would have had someone just like a random new character do that. Just a random new character do the job just because, well, with the same motivations. At least that would have made sense. A new character with that motivation made sense. With Ronin, I just don't think it works. And also, the way the ninja captured, I wouldn't really change it, but I would rather have Zane put up a fight rather than him get easily hacked and then turned off like that. Like, that to me is pretty pathetic, honestly. Also, going back to the first one, I would have also made Neo less whiny, but I kind of pointed that out. So back to where I was, I feel like Nauticon getting the Realm Crystal, he got it a little bit too quickly. I feel like there could have been a lot more build up to it than him just getting it randomly. It just felt like he god moded, basically, that part of the episode. And I feel like he actually needed to work his way up to deserve it. It's kind of similar to how other villains had to work their way to get what they want. But in this case, Nauticon just instantly gets what he wants, which, kind of breaks that little trend. And I would have actually made Nauticon work for it rather than, just immediately handed it to it. So in order for that to work, I guess the ninja would absolutely have to be involved. So I would have removed that scene entirely. And also, with one of the capturings that Ronin did, made no sense. And that was Cole's, because Cole is a ghost still in this. And ghosts don't conduct heat. So how can Ronin see him with thermal vision? Like, how the hell does that even work? So that just further proves that this arc is nothing but a piece of trash. This episode doesn't need as much as improvement as, let's say, the first one, but it definitely needs a lot of improvements. I feel like Lloyd and Zay should have had a fight and then, eventually lose. But I feel like they should have lost with Vengestone. Like, if when they had Vengestone, like a Vengestone wrist strap or something, like the wristband, like they sort of had in the next episode, then it would have made it more believable. But having the full on elemental powers just doesn't make sense for them to lose like that. Um, so as for Kainia, I thought it was a pretty creative. And for Jay and Cole, other than Cole's, Jay's was pretty creative. As for Encrypted, it basically makes the entire arc pretty pointless. So basically, if they were to go to jail, I would have had it at least 4 episodes and not 3, because why would they? They literally went through the entire phase of the arc in 3 episodes. They get framed. They get put in prison. They escape from prison. It's like, wait a little bit before you get to the escaping part. Wait a second. Sorry, had to sneeze. Um, but anyways, I wouldn't really change a lot about the 3rd episode. I mean, Nanakan getting his crew back was pretty cool, and I just wish we could have seen more about Ninjago. And it falling. I feel like I wouldn't really change that because I thought that scene was pretty good. The only thing I would change is just not let the arc end that quickly. And what I'm doing is I'm changing the episodes by episode. I'm not changing it like what I picture it, basically, because, I think it's just easier that way. So as for the next couple of episodes, nothing really too major happens, and it's kind of lackluster, honestly. I wouldn't really change much of Misfortune Rising. I probably wouldn't change it at all, honestly, because it's pretty good. On a Wish and a Prayer, the only thing I really would have changed, and this bothered me so much as a Zane fan, is to have actually I wouldn't have let Zane wish himself away. Because honestly, I know what a lot of people think, but it benefited Nanakana as a character because he can outsmart the smartest ninja. Correct, but also you also missing some pieces of information. It does make him a better character, but at the result of Zane's character. So it's kind of like with one character you gain and the other one you lose. It's kind of like a win-lose relationship. So I would have actually had Zane wishes all 3 wishes. Therefore, we were like, oh man, he wished all of his wishes. What happens now, essentially? I wouldn't say it would make it like a big weakness of Nanakan, but it would make Nanakan kind of go into a frenzy because he'll be like, you're the first one that so and so has never done. So what does he do? He just goes with plan B and just whoosh, slashes Zane into the Sword of Souls. That's plan B, because plan A didn't work. And I'll mention this point later. And I don't really remember much of the episode after that. I think, My Dinner with Nakana wouldn't change the dinner scene at all, but I really don't remember a lot of that episode, honestly. So I'm just going to skip it. As for Wishmasters, some of the wishes made in it were incredibly dumb. I mean, like, for example, I wish he didn't have that sword. Like, I understand what the intention of it was, that words matter, correct. But, like, some of the wishes were incredibly stupid. I would have changed some of the wishes. Also, I would not have... I would have still let Lloyd go older, because I really like the idea. But I would have not let Clancy wish Colin Lloyd away. Rather, what I would have wanted to happen, because it's more badass, is for... Well, I like the idea of, him pressuring Clancy, but I feel like the whole moment got ruined when Clancy actually did it. Because it goes against what he previously said. I don't need any wishes to make myself happy. So he basically kind of goes defiant against Nanakan, similar to how Flintlock upstages a mutiny later in the season. And Nanakan gets so fed up, he goes whoosh, slashes down Clancy, whoosh, slashes down Colin Lloyd, boom, 3 souls in 1 sword. So, yeah. I would think it would have been way more badass that way. As for The Last Resort, I really wouldn't change much. But there is one main change I really, really, really did want to make to this season, but I'll pull it out to the end of the video. As for Operation Land Help, wouldn't change a thing. And then we get to the infamous way back. Oh my. Oh my. We get to this. Honestly, this episode is, as we all know, super controversial. I feel like everything leading up to the finale was great. It was almost perfect. But I feel like as soon as that wish came and reversed everything went to shit. Honestly. But that's what happens when you write yourself into a corner with only one way out. So, honestly, you know what? In my version, this is my version. My version, okay? So, with I still have the idea of having everyone escape. But what I would have done is kind of similar to Aladdin, because I feel like this season takes a lot of inspiration from Aladdin. Because if you don't know, after 3 wishes, the genie gets back to where it came. I feel like they could have used that idea where, once the 3rd wish is made, regardless of what he said, I could have even made the same thing with "I wish you had taken my hand," because with that "and," it kind of makes you think, did he wish for 2 wishes? So I would have just left with "I wish you had taken my hand." Therefore, but then again, that whole "and" thing might have been part of the wish. What I would have said, "I wish you had taken my hand," and for everyone in the Sword of Souls to be released at the expense of you being permanently trapped in the sword. So basically, Notakon is permanently trapped in the Sword of Souls. Now, I know what you're thinking. Not one of Notakon's rules is that you can't wish for harm, essentially. Which, yeah, but then again, I'm pretty sure there was a wish which did have harm in it, but they kind of chose to ignore that. So the logic in Skybound is kind of inconsistent as well. So, and what I would have done, honestly, is have Jay pick up the Sword of Souls with only Notakon's soul inside it, break it, essentially. Break it in half. Therefore, Notakon is permanently dead, essentially. Because, now you may be thinking, well, wouldn't he be released back out again? No, because he didn't get released out through that portal thingy, whatever. He is basically forever dead now. Therefore, but yeah, I do. But then again, people may be thinking, well, what about Nia? I did actually forget about her, so I might need to rework this, because this is just a beta ending that I thought of. I unfortunately, in my version, I don't really have good plans for Nia. I would have either let her die, or and this was a big criticism I've had of Skybound, have her break up with Jay permanently. Therefore, they only became friends for the rest of the series. Because honestly, I didn't see the point of Jaya needing to reconnect. Honestly, I felt like that catalyst, the love triangle, was the catalyst for their breakup. I feel like that would have been way better development for them being. It just kind of spits in the face of the love triangle almost. It makes it all the more pointless almost. And as I said, a big criticism I've had with Skybound is that there's just too much romance. There's way too much romance crap in here. I would have lowered the amount of romance a lot, especially since the whole motive behind what Jay wants to save Nia is because of a stupid reflection. I mean, if the reflections did a lame ass explanation of Cole disappearing instead of his potential death, then they could have done something like that. because they pulled out of a lame explanation, therefore they pulled off an even lamer motivation for Jay. I would have not have had the reflections be mentioned in this season at all. I feel like Jay would have done it because his family, or his friends, who are his family, are the reason he is who he is. Because he feels comfortable around them. Because he feels stronger around them. Because a big problem I've had with Jay as a character is that his entire character can be summed up in one sentence. He is the boyfriend of Nia. Plain and simple. And he likes to make jokes. Boom. Like, with this, you could actually give him a full-fledged individual character. Nia has an individual character now, thanks to Skybound. So, yeah. Now you may be thinking, oh, I'm just killing the good aspects of Skybound and making worse things being put in. Remember, I don't like a lot of the aspects of Skybound, so I don't care what you say. And what was another thing I really wanted to improve? Oh yeah, Nanakon technically has two motives in this season. I think he's the first and only villain to have done that. His first motive is actually good. He wants revenge against the ninja because of them destroying the cursed realm. Therefore, his home was destroyed. But a big problem with this is, why bring up this idea now? Why did you not bring it up in the past seasons? Like, season 4 or 5 would have been a really good place to introduce that idea. But his second motive for wanting to marry Nia is incredibly bad. Because they look the same. That is terrible writing. That's basically on the same level as, what's that movie? Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, with the whole Martha thing. Martha! It's just a fucking name. Get over it. It's just the design. It's just, they look similar. It's like, what type of writing is that? Alright? Oh my god. I could go on and on all day. I don't want to get into the deep stuff. I feel like I've explained what I needed to explain. Because there was some stuff, I mean, I don't really remember much of my dinner with Nanakon, so I could have added some aspects of that into it, but as I don't remember that episode all that much, other than the actual dinner scene. Therefore, I decided not to mention it in this video. So, if you were thinking about what I would change to that episode, I don't really have any because I didn't really think about it that much. So yeah, I think this video, I dedicated an entire episode to just how would I rewrite Skybound, or how would I improve Skybound, because I believe there was a lot of potential put into Skybound, a lot of effort put into it, but because of convoluted writing and inconsistent logic, it basically ruined what could have been a great season. But that's just what I think. But anyways, what would you have done to improve Skybound? And no, I don't want to see nothing in the comments, because when I see nothing, I'm going to be beyond pissed at you. But anyways, I hope you guys answer that in the comments below. But anyways, I hope you guys liked this video. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel by clicking on the red subscribe button, and click on the notification bell to see every video that I will upload. And I'll see all you folks in the next video. Bye-bye!